right, good morning, Bardstown and Nelson County, and welcome to Bradford and Brooks. Jim Brooks and Margie Bradford here on this very sunny and going to be really hot Wednesday morning. Good morning, Margie.
Good morning, Jim.
Well, we got a beautiful day outside, and I think according to the weatherman, it's going to be a good day to stay inside.
Yeah, but yesterday was pretty good. I actually got out and did some yard work, so.
Yeah, it was a beautiful day. I probably spent too much time out on my porch and not enough time behind the computer working on the Gazette.
Well, come over and you can pull weeds for me.
I'll watch. I love work. I can watch it forever. All right. Margie and I are joined in the studio by Bardstown Mayor Dick Heaton and NCEDA President Kim Huston. And you guys are with us today to talk about plans to, well, correct me if I'm wrong, but I would consider it an upgrade of the Mayor's Park at the corner of Third and Broadway, an expansion of it, and pretty ambitious plans, I think. But anyway, tell us a little bit about the plans and what really led up to. Of course, I know the city bought that lot. I can't remember the date, Dick, but the city's owned that lot a while, and I guess it's been, there's been lots of ideas on what to do with it and make it a parking lot but this certainly looks like something that would fit in the community better than just a bunch of asphalt on that corner.
That's correct. And I'll let Kim kind of talk about what got us to that point of deciding no to parking lot and yes to a further enhancement to the streetscape project that we did back in 2010.
Mm-hmm.
Well, if we would put up a parking lot, we would have been run out of town, certainly. And I think everybody remembers a streetscape project that we did. What year was that?
2010.
2010. So we did the streetscape project, and it beautified the first 2 blocks of Bardstown. But we always knew we wanted to go more. We wanted to do something. We needed a gathering spot. All small communities and communities, across the country have gathering spots for the people. And if you've ever on any night gone up there, you'll see it. The existing Mayor's Park full of people eating ice cream from Baskin Robbins across the street, and they're utilizing it as a lovely park. Mm-hmm. But we have lost so much with bowling alley going away, with the skating rink going away, with the theater now going away, that there's not as much for families to do and to gather in places. So, this was one of those things we started back in 2020. We were fortunate to have Rick Hill, who helped us with a kind of a streetscape enhancement look for downtown Bardstown several years ago. And he started and put us on the path to the Mayor's Park Enhancement Project, which is an expansion of what's there now. And a beautification and a play area for children and place for any age, any demographic, tourist, local person to be able to come into town and just enjoy a place to be downtown. And hopefully enhance people to stay downtown a little bit longer. Mm-hmm. So we started this project. We're here now. We've moved forward. We're in the fundraising. And what we have on plans right now is just going to be gorgeous and going to be a beautiful gateway into our beautiful historic district.
Yeah, if you remember, we hired Rick Hill several years ago. Mm-hmm. He actually did some volunteer work for us at no charge. We hired him, and we used a lot of his suggestions and ideas that came from his report on our streetscape that we did back in 2010.
Right.
That was a $3 million project, including utilities. And so it was natural that when the city got a hold of this piece of property, Joe Buckman has been keen on that from the council standpoint, and Betty Hart, both, about we need a park to the points that Kim's making for the same reason. And Rick is now spending a lot of time here, and he came to some of our first focus groups meeting and volunteered and says, I've got a number of designers and stuff that I work with. I'd like to put something on paper for you. And he did it at no charge to us, and that was the template that we started on. We started in early 2020, not knowing we were going to get shut down with COVID, which we did, but still Rick's team worked, and by August of 2020, he at least had this concept that we have worked from since then. And We were not able to do much in 2020, and then in 2021, our group started meeting again once the mask restrictions, we could get back together in person, and started having some meetings, and we hired QK4, engineering and architecture firm out of Louisville, who did the work for our streetscape. It was a natural for them to be on board because this is an extension of that. It's the next block that we haven't done a lot to. So we brought them in, and we have been having much more frequent meetings since QK4 has come on board with our focus group. And I'll let Kim talk a little bit about where we are since last week. We've met last several months in a row.
I think we've come to a consensus of what we want. We want the park to look like, what materials we're going to look like, materials we're going to use. But we have people on this committee who know design. They know what looks beautiful. They've been to Charleston. They've been to Savannah. They've been to some of the most beautiful communities across the country, and it brought some of those ideas back with them because we know this is a gateway. We know it's a historic district. We want an epicenter of beauty, a place where you want to take pictures in, and we want it just to be a place that has so much that you'll just enjoy being there. I mean, from, a stage area to where maybe we can have music there, to a lawn area, to some artwork, some kids' play area. And it's not going to be your typical playground area. It's not going to be typical like anything that you see. It's going to be something designed with the beauty of historic Bardstown, with stonework and ironwork and ledges to sit all around. And it's going to be a wonderful gathering point. And it's all going to be it's all going to be surrounded by this beautiful, beautiful fountain that you see when you walk in. It's going to be one of those fountains that's a picture you want to take in downtown Bardstown. Now, right now, everybody takes a picture from the courthouse because it's it's kind of iconic. Sure. This is going to be one of those areas. They're going to be a selfie spot for people who come in, or if people want to get married there, people want to, have picnics with their families. It's going to be such a multi-purpose area, but it's going to be just beautiful.
So it would be kind of place where you could have a band or something.
Oh, absolutely.
So you'd have electrical hookups and all that kind of stuff. What about restrooms, that kind of thing?
That's in the plan. We don't know that we'll get that done in our first phase, but I think that's something we sort of switched gears on last week when we got to saying, let's don't short sight ourselves and just do phase one. Why don't we keep our eye on the ball to raise enough money to do it all at one time? Bathrooms are very expensive.
Sure.
The city can do a lot of in-kind work in that regard to have the water and sewer lines. We can extend them ourselves to that location in the park. But Jessica reminded us that it's a whole lot harder, our city engineer reminded us it'd be a whole lot harder building those once you have all this landscaping in place, all the stone columns and the iron fencing. The exterior will look similar to what you see now up at St. Joseph Church and Spalding Hall with the stone columns and the black iron or steel fencing, which will provide safety so that children just can't run outside of it and get on the streets, but also provide, visibility into the park from the exterior.
A decorative fence.
Yes.
Yeah,
it's going to be beautiful.
Yeah, and that's kind of, for St. Joe, that's kind of harking back to the church's past when they did have a fencing up there.
Right.
But
and the limestone rock is is where it all comes from this part of Kentucky, so that's part of what we're going to be using. We think in the columns and be a lot of them. I think we said 35 to 37 columns.
So this is going to be the utilize the present mayor's park. Was just going to blend in with that.
No, we'll probably redesign the entire thing, but we plan to use a lot of the stone that's there. Obviously, we've told the Rotary Club that their clock will definitely be a focal point.
They will stay, yeah.
It's probably going to be very close to where it is today,
Right.
at the entrance of the park.
I know they've got, well, they have the little box there for books and
It
things,
will
so
stay.
That will stay.
It will stay.
I mean, I just love that little park. It's like a little oasis.
It is. Well, you wait
So-
till you see this one. It's going to be that on steroids. But we're going to keep the charm in all we have now. I think Fred Hagan built the box with the books, and he came to one of the meetings, and we assured him that was going to stay. The clock is going to stay, and then we're going to reutilize materials. Dixie Hibbs did that park when she was mayor.
I know.
And we've talked to her, and we've ensured that the character of that, some of those materials are going to stay. It's going to be an enhancement. It's just going to be such a beautiful, beautiful place to be in downtown.
Well, I see it as a great opportunity to add some green space to downtown. And I'm trying to think if it's Corydon, Indiana, or another town. When my daughter was in the local band, they played over there, and their square has a huge green area around it, and it's beautiful. But unfortunately, they never built on that. I mean, they've maintained that as green space in the middle of their downtown. And of course, our square has been our square for, umpteen years. And so you can't insert green space there, but this is a great opportunity to create, like you said, Margie, an oasis, kind of a refuge from the hustle and bustle of things. And I think the design, I saw the initial design looked really, really interesting. And I think, I guess at what level of fundraising will things begin to take shape, you think?
Well, the good news is we've had some pledges made here in the last few weeks. We're up to about $310,000 in cash and some in-kind pledges in terms of materials and labor on the project. So I'm just going to round that up to probably we're close to $400,000.
Great.
And we've got a number of asks out that we're still waiting on answers. We hope that we'll be at that $600,000 number in cash pretty soon. But I think after last week's meeting, the momentum that we've got is like we need to reach out to a number of people because the one thing the city, we've invested approximately $400,000 in the purchasing of the park property as well as the commitment for the initial design work. And so we said to make this happen, the city can't put any more money into that project, but the community, we hope the community will step up. And so far they are being very positive about it. And we think once we're able to get a nice large sign up there with the final design, that's going to create more attention.
Yeah.
And we hope shows like this, and I've spoken to some groups already, creates more interest, and that I hope we get to the point where we can do the full park all at once and not wait and come back later.
Right.
There's we haven't accounted for, like some of the statuary that we may put in there, wind chimes, some of the tables and chairs seating that will be there. These numbers we've been sharing are really for the construction of the park, but it's not good to have a park if you don't have a place. We have some places designed for permanent kind of seating areas, edges and around the fountain and around the walking sidewalk area that kind of is on the inside of the park, but it kind of goes completely around it.
And it's totally handicap accessible too, so that was a major in our construction thinking and all that as well.
Have you thought about maybe having people purchase benches in the name of someone?
Well, we've got some not naming opportunities, sponsorship levels that are the large donors. You got to remember, this is about a 0.6 of an acre project when you count everything, including the city right-of-way that's on Broadway, and the 0.4 of an acre we bought. So it's still not that big that we don't want to have, we certainly want to encourage anybody to donate, but it's just not big enough to have a nameplate added to every tree, every bench, every brick.
Okay.
So we're going to have 3 very attractive plaques in the thing. We don't want it to be a logoed park.
Right.
You know, no offense to IBM, I'll use an out-of-town company, IBM or AT&T or somebody like that. We just don't want a logoed park. We want it very tastefully done. So there's going to be opportunities for people to get their names on those 3 plaques. Large donations, but I happen to hope that there'll be a lot of people that, you know, there's the $100 givers to the $1,000 givers or $5,000 givers that, you know, don't need their name on a tree or a bench to do the right thing for the community.
Right.
Right. Well, you know, the original project downtown, which led to us being one of the most beautiful small towns in America, this can't help but enhance that and help to draw more attention to the town and having people come to it and locate here.
Oh, it will. You know, and sitting at the tourism office every day, you know, I hear people say, is there a place that we can just go sit and enjoy and look at a map or do things like that? And this will be one of those places we can send people and they can sit and they can, you know, look at where they want to go next, or they can take a box lunch from Fresh and take it down there and eat it, because, you know, there'll be trees and there'll be benches and there'll be tables and there'll be all that. We're going to make it a place you want to go to, and just like your oasis on steroids, we're hoping it to be that. And it's just something we're really lacking. You know, fortunately we've had the farmers market for events, but we haven't had that one green space beautiful place that we deserve in Bardstown. Being the most beautiful small town, we deserve something like this. Goodness knows I've been to enough towns across the country, and so many of them have places like this. And it's been lacking. So the city to take this initiative, I think everyone's going to be just pleasantly surprised by what the outcome's going to be.
Now, Mayor, if I remember right, there, phase 1 and 2, I think you were looking at a potential budget of combined about $1 million. Is that still on the what it's looking like?
Yeah, well, I think we've made some changes to phase 1 that's going to save some money, like making it, you know, flat. We were going to raise the stage area, but then you get into a lot of steps and handicap accessibility and all that. That added a lot of cost. And we reduced the size of the stage. It was very large, and I think maybe the original thought purpose was it was, you know, going to hold more events than it was going to be just a leisure park. And we changed that. It'll have enough hard space for a stage to do small acoustic. You know, I think of the strings group that we have at Bardstown High School. I could see them up there on a Friday night or a Saturday night. And other acoustic kind of music. There could be, you know, a small wedding could take place there. That's part of that. So we made some changes in our last 2 meetings that was going to save some money on we think on the initial. But as you all know, lead times and inflation has just affected all construction materials as well as labor and even landscaping. The trees are not as cheap as they were 2 years ago, and all the flowers and the other landscaping we have planned, it's all gotten more expensive since we started. So that's probably still a good number because we'd like to finish it with the seating and the wind chimes and statuary, and we don't maybe have to skimp on some of the landscaping possibly too.
Well, it looks to me, well, I will tell you, Dick, for lunch, when I'm in town, I'm kind of seek out those green spaces too, and it's either the cemetery or the old J.C. Park at the end of Halstead and
community park.
And I enjoy that a lot, just being under the trees and seeing green space, you know. And so it's just a nice respite from driving here, driving there, to just to be able to get away from it for at least a few minutes to eat lunch.
Yeah, Tim mentioned these other communities. She's been in more than me, but you know, Danville has stuff like this. Harrodsburg has park like this. Both of them right in their downtown areas, and so it's sort of that missing link. You know, everybody's talking about you know, the need for more employees and the need to attract the skilled people who can work in our businesses that need skilled people as well as just labor as well. And this is sort of one of those amenities that Bardstown, we're pretty strong in that regard, how we sell ourselves to prospects, both people wanting to live here or going to business here. But this would just be one more thing that they go, my Lord, this is such a beautiful community, such a welcoming looking community that will just probably help us land a few more people here that might have been looking at other places to move to.
It all adds to the quality of life here in Bardstown, not just for industrial prospects, for those of us who are here,
Correct.
here already. So it sounds like a win-win-win.
That reminds me of that remark that you only have one time to make a first impression.
That's true, yeah. And this will make that first impression too. It really will.
All right. I guess it's too early to talk time frames for construction or when.
Well, if the fundraising goes the way we anticipate it, we hope to have a set of final plans in the next 6 weeks. And we hope then to be able to bid it out by the year end and start in early next year.
That's great.
That's our timetable right now.
Possibility of next year.
Yeah. We have spent last week picking out trees and bushes and shrubs and making strategic choices about which ones would be good and which give more shade and what size they're going to be and what kind of color. I mean, we've gone to that extreme already and trying to make sure
Going to
we're picking the
details.
best of the best for this park. Yeah.
Wonderful.
Well, it's certainly it's an ambitious project, but it's you don't get an opportunity to have a green space, in a 200-year-old plus downtown like this. So, it's a
Without
wonderful.
tearing down any historic buildings.
No, nothing's being torn down.
The Shell station, that was okay for it to go away when they were moving all the tanks. So I think it's a great reuse of that property. It's expensive, but I thought it was expensive then, but now that real estate has gone like it is, I don't feel too bad about that investment on that
Got a good
large
deal.
tract right in our center of town.
Right on the corner of Third and Broadway. That's let's see. I think it was Sonny Munnin told me. He said, "Well, they're not making any more of it, so real
right.
estate's
Yeah.
not getting cheaper."
Yeah.
You mentioned, if you want to switch gears a little bit, you mentioned quality of life. Kim and I have worked on another project. We've been talking about the need for a more enhanced indoor sports center with an aquatic element to it, along with additional multi-use gymnasium courts and other amenities, and we've been doing a little work on that. Of course, Kim is...
It's my third time. I failed twice, so I'm thinking third time's going to be a charm on this. We did the YMCA project a couple different times, and it never went too far, just for funding purposes. But the time is right now. We've got the right people in places and local government who are supporting this. And again, no bowling alley, no theater, no skating rink. We have to have something for families and for people to
So
do.
is this
And now's the time.
utilizing a building you have, or is this
No, new build.
new building
New build.
on
City property.
city property?
Yes.
Yeah, but when you look at all those losses, I mean, the situation's more critical now.
Right.
To have.
It is.
You
And
know,
those aren't
the
coming
need is
back.
greater. No, they're not.
I know one political candidate said when he gets elected, he's going to tell Kim Huston to go bring bowling alleys and skating rinks and, movie theaters. But those aren't being built now. They're not, those types of things, unfortunately, are going by the wayside now just because people are not doing some of those sports anymore. It's different. Theaters right now, Andy Stone and I talked about that before he closed Keystone Cinemas. He said, COVID hurt him. People weren't coming back. And live streaming is really hurting him when you can see a movie a week later in your own house on your own TV. That was really, really hurting him. So, he had no choice than to go ahead and move on. Talking to other theaters out there, and I've talked to other theaters, they have no interest in building a lot of new theaters in smaller communities now. They're not profitable, and eventually theaters will. I love going to theater. I mean, I love seeing a movie on a big screen.
Oh, yeah.
But generationally, that's changing,
Right.
and they see that down the future. So they're not building these types of amenities like that anymore. So I can't recruit those because they're not being built anymore.
Yeah,
So
my kids have no interest they love movies, but they have no interest in going to a theater
Right.
to watch a movie.
Right.
You know, other than the nostalgia, the old school way of doing it, they might.
Or the
might find-
popcorn.
Yeah.
You know, I went to Keystone for the popcorn too.
Yeah, that
you know,
was good.
it's just nothing like an experience
Yeah.
there. But unfortunately, these are the amenities small town America are losing.
Mm-hmm.
It's not just us. But we have to think in ourselves, what else can we have? What else can we do to provide some services for families and kids to do? And recreation right now, getting them off their computers and off their screens and into a place where they can have. I'm most excited about an aquatic center for the kids and the indoor walking track. That's year round. That's for every demographic in this town will utilize. You see everybody walking.
Yeah.
But come November, they're not doing it anymore. So we're going to have
Yeah.
an indoor walking track that anybody will be able to use. So this project is special.
Would that incorporate the present swimming pool, or would that be done away with, or would that be just an adjunct?
We haven't made that decision yet. The field work is going to probably determine whether we need that space for this facility. There's another thing in play here is that pool is a 45-year-old pool, and we're looking at about a $400,000 repair bill that we've just been trying to buy time over the last few years. And so to us, it doesn't probably make sense to spend $400,000 and try to operate an outdoor pool and an indoor pool.
Right.
So we're working towards hopefully adding an outdoor splash park as part of the new center that we might build. And that would help provide that outdoor water recreation component for the younger people,
Kids, yeah.
and still have the swimming component for everybody.
Indoors year round.
Well, for somebody who doesn't know what a splash park is, can you tell me what is a splash park?
Well, it's a shallow pool area for kids that have, you know, different types of splash and
Water.
fountains and things like that
Okay.
coming up. Yeah.
So they can get in and run
They can
in
get
it and
in,
play like
yeah.
you do in your yard with the hose and
water
the
sprinkler.
Right.
water
Yeah.
sprinkler.
And that, you know, those are what lots of communities are going to. Country clubs are going to, having a splash area for the younger kids. There's zero gravity walking in like you walk into a beach, so you're not stepping into a pool, but there's a lot of water coming at you and playthings within it. And you know, that's something they don't have
And
now.
that's not the same liability as a swimming pool.
Right, you don't have to have lifeguards and splash parks.
Right,
Yeah,
and kids can do, the younger kids, and then the older ones can go in and swim in the
Swim
big
in the
pool.
pool. Yeah. And you know,
Okay.
it's going to be the other thing too. You know, our high schools with the swim teams, they have to travel to Lebanon for practice. You know, in this, I'm going to tell you, Rita Kuntz, who used to be with Bardstown, then with Bethlehem, she's the one that started this whole first idea because she had kids on the swim team.
Yeah.
And she was driving them to Lebanon all the time. And she contacted me. She said, what can we do to get an indoor pool? And at that point in time, we called Steve Tarver, who was the head of YMCA in Louisville, and kind of started this process of, does Bardstown need this? Can we do this? And that's why we started with the kind of talking with the YMCA. But then we decided the city owns its own electric. We own our own infrastructure, broadband. We can do this ourselves. We're not a town that needs somebody to come in and do it for us. We knew we could do this. We got the right people. So we had decided after many, many years, let's just do this on our own, individually, as a city and as a county.
Well, that's the next thing I was going to ask you is all of the candidates for magistrate that we've talked to have expressed an interest one way or another in the support. So the upcoming fiscal court, I mean, you might be able to count on
Get
for
it done.
We hope so, because
support.
most of these type facilities that you find, like in the Shelbyville of the world, the Versailles of the world, and Georgetown, those are three that are kind of in close proximity to us. They're about 20 years old now, but it was a different time on how they got them built.
Yeah.
But they were joint interlocal agreements between city and county in terms of operational costs and so forth, because these type of facilities and just like recreation in general, they really don't make a lot of money.
Right.
You're lucky if you can even get them to break even, but you don't, but this will be a little different because we will be able to attract regional and district swim events at the high school level. We will be able to attract AAU events in basketball, and the traveling volleyball circuit will be able to come and utilize facilities like this when we have something that meets their needs. So there will be some revenue that we hope that our projections that we'll get to a break even maybe in year 3, and it'll stay that way for a number of years. And then as maintenance costs pick up and probably enrollment and membership will flatten at some point, it'll take the city and county to subsidize it like we do all the other recreation programs we have.
Well, you could even do senior exercise programs.
yeah.
Now, Dick, didn't the city budget for this year include money for some study or some initial work on such a facility?
We budgeted $100,000 to do some preliminary design and field work, and we're in that process now. We're working with an architectural firm. It's going to help us with a RFP and a RFQ, request for proposal, request for qualifications, to formally hire an architect firm. And then the city will be paying for field work and boring. We know our city has got rock underneath it everywhere. You don't want to try to build a swimming pool where there's solid rock.
Or a cave underneath.
Or possibly St. Joe Cave might be there. So we're going to be contracting. Again, we're asking for some recommendations, and this firm is going to supply us with that, and we'll be hiring that work out here very soon. And but this is again, the timing. There's anytime you do something like this, there's always going to be some difficulties, and the cost is going to be very expensive, and it's going to take a combination of public and private money to make this work. There's no magic to fund a $15 million or $20 million project. That this could very well be in that neighborhood. So it's going to take a huge fundraising effort, and we're going to have to raise some taxes to make it work. So we'll have to see how. Everybody says they want it. 78% of the people that we survey want something like this, and the majority said they would be open to paying some additional taxes. And that's what separates Bardstown right now from the Shelbyvilles of the world, the Versailles of the world, and the Georgetowns, because they have an insurance premium tax, which I'm not happy. I'm not going after that, and their restaurant taxes are all much higher than ours. Their general fund, Shepherdsville, same way. Their general funds have millions and millions of more dollars coming into them than we do, because they have higher restaurant taxes and they have insurance premium taxes. So we're going to try to make it as bearable as we can, but you can't take on a $20 million project or a $15 million project with just our general funds the way they are, because we can only grow them by 4% a year.
Right.
That doesn't cover this.
That doesn't cover the cost of inflation.
Right. So we hope the community will get behind this.
Well, it sounds like a perfect opportunity for a public-private partnership with our local business and industry players. If we can get them on board to help out.
Yeah, we want to get the design work, at least the conceptual design work done, firm up the location, and so we have something to show them.
Right.
And have some current cost estimates, based on today's market, because it'll take some major donors to step forward, and that's what some of these other communities did. They have people contributing $1 million for this portion of the building, or $2 million to name the facility after them. We'll have to go after that. We're going to probably have to raise $5 to $10 million possibly to make this happen.
Right. I never thought about how old the existing pool is. Would you say 45 years old?
I know.
It's hard. It doesn't seem
We
that
think
long
about it
ago.
as the new pool,
I remember the old pool.
old pool. That's where my kids learned
And
to swim.
federal
Me too.
money was available back then that helped us build that. So I don't know about any federal money
I don't
on
think
this,
so.
but
No. No, but
We're going to pursue it though, because there's ARPA money I'm seeing that's getting donated for recreational and park projects. So we're going to, I hope they don't run out next year. We might have some needs here locally to pursue that.
Well, I know that the pool operates at a deficit every year, generally. But I guess I hadn't thought about how old it was and the maintenance issues, and I know that you've got to maintain a pool to keep it operating safely.
Right. It's ours as well. We did. Daniel told me yesterday taught 350 kids how to swim this summer. 350 people that didn't know how to swim now know how to swim.
That's great.
The attendance is pushing. He thinks by the end of this month it'll be about 4,000 people have used the pool this summer. It's over 3,000 right now, and it's very well used in terms of the night swimming's been a hit. The hot weather, you think that helps you, but it gets so hot sometimes people don't want to even try it. But he said the attendance is probably going to be as good, if not better, than last year. So the need for a swimming pool in a community our size is there.
Right.
We just want to upgrade it after a 45-year run.
It's hard to believe it's been 45 years.
I know.
I might be off a couple of years, but
Well,
I can remember
that's-
Larry Hamilton, when he was still living and working for us, he remembers it because he was there
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
back then when they built it. And it's over 40.
Well, I remember the, softball or baseball diamond that used to be there.
That's St. Joe Prep's baseball field. Then it
Yeah.
became the Pony League field for the American Legion,
Yeah.
for the older baseball players in the community.
And then the old pool was where Bardstown Village is. Bardstown
yeah,
Village.
yeah.
I mean, how many of us went down there and learned to swim, went off those crazy diving boards that they had? That seemed like the biggest pool in the entire world
did.
when we
I
were
know.
down there. Yeah.
It did, it
My
really did.
6 kids learned to swim down there.
Yeah, it was an incredible place where we all kind of started, and that's where it started for Bardstown, and then the revolution of coming to where we're going right now. It's pretty exciting.
And then for a few years, I think the city operated the old St. Joe pool too,
Yeah.
up there by the rec center.
Yeah, it was on the
Because I
backside.
used to go, that was so close to
Yeah.
me living on Maple Hill. That was a great place for it.
Right, you're correct on that. And we had a swimming pool down on South 4th Street. It's now the Woodson Rogers Park. I worked for the city in the summer of 70, in a federal project where they hired teenagers. And we were dismantling that pool. It had gotten old and in bad shape, and that was one job I worked on that summer was helping
Break up concrete?
Well, no, we helped try to get some of the filtering equipment and all that backwashing equipment. We helped take that out. I didn't drive a backhoe or a front end loader that took the big stuff out. But there again, you had 3 pools in the city back in those days, and now we're down to 1.
Well, and I think it's due for a replacement, I think. And I think an indoor facility sounds like not just for aquatics, but for recreation, throughout the community.
Yeah,
That
it'll
indoor
have
place.
competitive swim lanes in it for our high school teams. We have 4 high schools with swim teams, but there'll be plenty of size for it for leisure swimming, because of those swim lanes, like the one we have now, they're not in use unless we're having swim meets and so forth.
Right.
So a lot of leisure swimming will be available. You can't make everybody happy, because there'll be people that like just the outdoor pool, but this is something that the community has been asking for. Kim goes back probably 20 years on this
When we
type of
started it.
project. And it won't be, I know there's going to be a fitness element to it, but it won't be a real, in my opinion, a direct competition to the other fitness centers. It's totally different. It's probably going to be a much higher monthly fee or user fee than they are. A lot different type of programs rather than your traditional people that want to pay a reasonable price per month to go in and work out. So I don't think it's going to be as much of a competitor to our other gyms as maybe they think, because of the nature of what we're going to offer and the price for use. It's got to be a user fee based center to help pay the operating costs, and our fees will be much higher than theirs. So a person's gonna have to make a decision. You know, if one person in the family is going to the gym for $29 a month, I don't see that person switching to a membership for one person that's much higher than that. Some might because of the pool, but I don't see that happening that much.
I would think you'd have a lot more adult participation.
Well, seniors have been asking for the swim,
Seniors
and they don't have a place to go in the winter.
Well, they don't.
Aerobics and
you
that kind
know,
of stuff.
Just
and
year round.
Not liking to be
Yeah.
out exercising in
Right.
the sun,
Yeah.
whereas you would
Indoors.
Indoor pool would
Yeah.
be more conducive to people signing up for things like
Yeah.
that.
Well,
There's-
there's not much to do here in the winter either.
No.
And this will, rather than a 4-month pool, you're gonna have a 12-month pool, and you're gonna have something you can go into during the bad months and still exercise. And this is healthy community. This is what communities are going toward now, the wellness piece of it and the healthy piece of it. And that's what we're hoping that we'll get across, and people will really want to be part of it.
Yeah, the multi-use gymnasium space is really going to be designed to host, your typical sports-related activities, but also could be host for events. So like you could see a 200-person small convention book their stay here in Bardstown. It'll have the ability at certain times of the year to be able to be rented out like Saturday and Sunday or Friday, Saturday and Sunday, like in the summer months particularly when you don't have basketball leagues and volleyball leagues. So it's going to have a lot of other uses, and people rent these spaces for family reunions. They rent them for birthdays. You'll have a swim party for a birthday, that sort of thing. We see that being an important thing that
Revenue generator,
Sure.
piece of that.
Sure, and especially it'd be handy to have a place that's inside, that's not dependent on the weather,
Right.
to have a good time.
So we're making progress on that. It's not a done deal by a long shot,
Right, right.
but the council stepped up by budgeting this $100,000. So we're going to find out hopefully where a place like this can go, what it's going to cost, and we'll find out how bad the community wants it. And if they step up, we can do it. Without their help, we can't. It's just not going to be possible. But it's a goal of mine and Kim. We both, I think, we've pledged we want to see this come to a point it's never been, to make that final decision one way or the other with real numbers and hopefully some support that we didn't get the other two times
Yeah.
around.
I think I still have a 300-person petition that was presented to Judge Watts in fiscal court at one point in time. I'm like, I need to pull that out and call every one of these people. I'm like, are you willing to donate now? And I know you signed the petition, you wanted it. Now it's time to really move forward with it. But this, of all the projects I've worked in 20 years I've been doing this is the one that has garnered more support than anything, an overall all demographic report, the project that everybody has wanted. And the age group also has been from the older people to the young people who've wanted it for their kids and a place to take their kids.
Sure.
But this has been that project everybody has wanted. It's like there's a consensus of this. So we're going to see how that goes, like the mayor said.
Yeah, put up or shut up time.
Yeah, exactly. It's going to be that. But we're pretty pumped about this project.
All right. Well, I'll tell you, we're just about down to the wire. We've got to get some commercials in before the top of the hour. Anything else you'd like to leave us with, Dick? I appreciate you and Kim coming in and giving us updates on these community projects, because it really will, I don't want to say change the face of Bardstown, but it will certainly improve the quality of life in Bardstown. And both projects have a tremendous opportunity here.
And I think it's going to be a great recruiting tool for people to locate here who might be looking at other cities. So there's a lot of exodus still going on in some of the larger cities around the country with inflation and traffic and all that. They're looking for places like this. So hopefully it's going to help Kim with her job and me with my job and all our business owners and large companies. If we can get some of these done, it'll be a shot in the arm economically in a different way than maybe you look at it as just being recreation and landscaping.
Okay. Well, ladies and gentlemen, listeners, we've been talking with Dick Heaton, Mayor of Bardstown, and Kim Huston, President of Nelson County Economic Development Agency, and about the potential for an indoor pool and the planned improvements that are still underway for the Mayor's Park at the corner of Third and Broadway. Both projects, it's pretty exciting to see something new new in the works. And I know, Dick, we got a couple of minutes. I know that the water and sewer rehab projects are underway downtown. Of course, I think this end of South Third's been completed, but I see crews working consistently throughout this area.
Yeah, we've about finished the downtown. We budget about $1 million a year to rehab our downtown water and sewer lines, and so this year's project's about finished. Mm-hmm. We'll do another one next year, but there's a number of other projects in the work. We have about $20 million worth of water and sewer projects to start this year in our budget. Just enhancements to our existing water and sewer distribution systems that are needed to continue with help with supporting the growth in our community. So,
Well, is this rehabbing what's there, or just adding to it, or both?
in the downtown area, it's rehabbing. Out in the outer things like the Louisville Water Project, we are, both us and North Nelson and Louisville Water Company are working on easements right now for that project. That's going pretty well. And we've got plans for about a $10 million enhancement to our sewer plant down on Gilkey Run. They call it the Town Creek plant. Mm-hmm. That work will start this year. We've got probably close to an $11 million water plan for the east zone that'll start here at the courthouse and go all the way out to Walmart, and it will include a second water tank out near the Nelson County Industrial Park. That we hope we'll get started on that project this year as well. But we've got almost $60 million worth of water and sewer project, not counting the Louisville Water Project, that need to be started in the next 4 to 5 years. It's an extraordinary amount of infrastructure that this community is absorbing and needs. So we're working diligently on that to keep ahead of it.
Right, and as some of this infrastructure, especially around downtown, some of it can be fairly old and probably needed rehabbing years ago.
80, 90 years old,
Yeah.
some of these water lines. So, they're getting close, and then paving now is what's finished. So all the water lines have been, all the new meters have been tied into, so be a nice improvement.
All right. Well, Mayor, thank you, and Kim, thank you for coming in today.
Well, thank you all for having us.
All right.
Bradford and Brooks had Heaton and Huston.
Yeah.
That's a pretty good combination.
Yeah, it is.
We started in these studios about 30-something years ago. Kim was working for WBRT, and Bill Conway and I would come in and tape ads, and Kim was our production person and all that.
Yeah, so my career started right here at WBRT.
That's right. All right. Well, thank you, guys. And we need to take a break for get some commercial messages in. You're listening to Bradford and Brooks, and we'll be right back. Stay tuned.